Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Maybe you're new to Linux, or maybe you've heard of people talk about man pages before, and you saw it in a forum or even in another YouTuber's videos, but you never really understood them as more than short instructions for command line programs. If that sounds familiar, then let's move on over to the desktop and talk. So man pages are really cool. They're kind of hard to live without if you're using a Linux system and you really want to get deep into the internals. I guess if you're just a normal normie desktop user, you probably could get away with not using it. But if you want to dig deeper into the Linux system, you're going to need to use man at some point, or man pages at some point. They really help us understand what a good new Linux system can do, what the utilities can do, and not just utilities, as we'll see shortly. So say, for example, you know a command and you know that you want to find out more information about it, how to use it, right? So maybe you want to add in some switches and some options to that command, but you don't know exactly what they are. So you can go into your terminal and type man, and then the word or the utility you want to learn more about. So in this case, let's say we type in man who. I enter that. I can navigate around the output I get with either the spacebar or the arrow keys. And what do we see? Well, number one, we see that we are looking at who, and we're going to talk about what this means here shortly. But we also get a name, a short description, and all the switches, as well as the options that we can apply to this. So that's great. You can read through this and really figure out how you want to use it. And to achieve whatever your desired goal is. You can also see we get information about authors. Say you run across a bug, you can go ahead and find out where you would report the bug, copyright information, and so on and so forth. That's great. We could do the same thing for the password command. PASSWD. If my fingers will type today. There we go. See, same thing, right? A lot more options here, a little more information under the synopsis, a little bit bigger description, but basically the same thing, right? We get a bunch of options and understanding how to use this utility. Cool. That's not all this can do, though. So if you're familiar with a Linux system, you know there's the password utility and the password file. It'd be nice to know information about the password file. We saw the utility already. We can actually find out information about the password file. So one thing you have to note about man pages is that they're broken down into sections, and there are a number of different sections inside the man pages. In fact, if we actually run man on man itself, we'll get information about the man command. And if we go down to the description, you'll notice we've got 9 sections right here, at least on my system right now. I know there's some systems I've been on that have 10 sections or more, I think, actually. But as you can see, we've got a section 1, executable programs or shell commands, stuff that we're pretty much used to using if you're using a shell terminal at all. System commands and library calls, probably useful if you're a developer. Special files might be useful if you're a developer tool, depending on what you're trying to do. File formats and conventions. This can be useful. In fact, it's giving you an example of password right here. We'll take a look at that in a second. 6 games, 7 miscellaneous, so other things, macros, so on and so forth. System administration commands, in section 8, commands that you can only run as root, and then kernel routines. So again, depending on what your use case is, you might be in some of these other sections. We're just going to talk about being a normal user. So, and by default, it's always going to look through the first section, which is kind of like normal user commands. So again, we can hit Q to quit out of a man page, just like we do with some other terminal type programs. So let's actually find out more about the password configuration file. So if we type man 5, which that specifies the section, and then what we want to find out more about, notice now we're no longer in password 1 like we might have seen before with the who command, or if we type password, we saw 1 up here. Now we're in the 5th section. It's telling us what section we're in. It's super useful to know what section you're in. We also get a big description and a bunch more information about this configuration file and how we can configure it if that's what we're trying to do. So again, you don't have to actually look through just section 1. If you need more information, you might want to look through section 5 too, if you're looking for a specific thing like a configuration file. So say you just want to see all the pages, the man pages, doesn't matter what the section is, based off of whatever thing you typed in. So if I typed man with the option -A or the switch -A, and then PASSWD, we're going to get every page in the man pages, no matter the section. It's just going to pull them all out. And what we're going to see is it's going to go by section. So right now we're looking at the section 1 for password. And we could dig through that. Say like that's not what we want. We weren't quite sure, so we're just looking through them all. That wasn't what we want. We can hit Q to exit out. And now what we're going to do is get some options to either go look at the next one, which in this case happens to be password in the 5th section. We can skip it or we can quit altogether. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So if I hit enter, return, you'll see I'm now looking at the 5th section in the man pages for password, right? So the programmer's manual is basically what the 5th section is. Cool. So again, you could just go, if there's a section, if there is a man page that you're looking for in every section, it would just continuously pull them up until you're done. Awesome. So say you actually want to search the man pages though for certain things. We can do that. So we can search for a keyword or by keyword with the command apropos. And then we type in what we want to search. So if I type apropos who, now we're going to see all of the man pages and the sections it's in with the word who. So notice now I'm looking at @.allow, @.deny, BetterFS file system, section 8. And notice the word who is somehow involved in all of these, whether it be actual the word who or who is. It's going to look for anything with who in it and display it. So that's kind of useful if you don't know exactly what you're searching for. So let's try it again with password PASSWD. And notice we get a whole bunch of stuff because there's a whole lot of stuff with password in it. And what it's doing is it's searching the name of the command or the name of the name area of the man page, as well as the short description of the man page. And so that can be useful if to pull out and just kind of search through and look for the things you want, which is great. So we can also do that if you don't want to type in apropos. You can also type in man-k, which will do a keyword search. So again, now I can do who, and we're going to basically see the same results, which is really useful because I don't always know what I'm looking for, right? I might go in and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to search for, let's try man, or else man-k ls, although this is probably a bad example because it's going to pull up anything with L and S in it together. So right, that's why this is such a huge list. Let's try, what's another one? We'll just do password again, right? Oh, that's not what I wanted. So man-k ASSWD. And then we get all the password stuff in here, right? And now I can just read through this and figure out what I wanted and then be done with it, find out the information and be done with it. Cool. So what I like to do is use man before I go to Google. In fact, before I knew about man pages, I tended to go to Google first and search it, and I'd find all sorts of information. Some made sense, some didn't, and it just wasn't very helpful. So what I like to do first is search for the man pages, especially if I'm trying to figure out information about how to configure certain files, especially system files like password, or how to use a utility. I'll go through the man pages first, read through it. Then if I can't find the information or I don't understand it, then I go out and Google and DuckDuckGo and all of that and do a search. So hopefully somebody finds this useful, especially if you've never used man pages before, or you just had like a very high level understanding of them. And hopefully it helps you to further understanding the different utilities and files on your system.